Hello and welcome to our YouTube channel, Our Little French Dream and Big Journey. I'm Sally Ann. Andy isn't with us today as it is mandated hours in France, so I'll tell you more about that later. If you're new to the channel, you're very welcome. So bonjour and bienvenue. I must apologise straight away though. I can't find the tripod, so I'm having to hold the phone as steady as possible. But there's a lot happened, so I thought we needed to let you know. We did set the channel up to document the journey and the financials as to how to move to France, how to set up a business and how to live here permanently. So what we'll do today is we'll go through quite a few items that has happened last month. We did attend OFII, OFII, which was in Caen. I'll tell you more about that. That is the mandated tests and medicals. And it has started his mandated hours at a place called INFREP in Fleur. Architect plans have been submitted. Slight issue there. I'll go through that later as well. We have registered the business. We'll go through that because that creates a lot of junk and spam. The house is, I would say, 90% there now. Probably more in the last couple of days. We've got some clips. We'll put them on so that you can see that. And I'll go through a couple of the costings as to what's happened in the bathroom and kitchen. Still got a bit outside to do, but obviously, just like everywhere else, it's not very good weather at the moment. I've been monitoring their expenditure, particularly the costs that we need to keep under control, so the living costs. There are some that you can't have any influence over and some obviously that you can. Also, we're in the process of putting the rental on third-party websites, and I'm looking to do my own website as well. Time permitting, it's not the easiest, so I'm looking at platforms. And yeah, we've grown our own social circle. So let's dive straight in. Okay, so OFII. OFII is a place that you go to. You can go if you've got a long-term visa and it's inactive. They do like you to go for medicals, but because we've got working visas, we haven't got the talent passport, we've got professional liberal. We have to go for OFII medicals, which is a chest x-ray. You keep your own medical history records, so you are given your chest x-ray to take home after you take it to the doctor. So then you go to see the doctor, who goes through the usual things, height, childhood vaccinations, blood pressure, eyesight, those kind of things. It's very straightforward. They do allocate what they believe you need after that. So we ourselves got allocated extra polio vaccinations. They don't like them to be more than 20 years old, and obviously we took them as a child. So that's your OFII in the morning. In the afternoon, you've got the delight of sitting in a classroom and having 4 written French tests and a verbal French test. After that, they tell you whether you've passed or not, and if you have, happy days. You'll get your certificate that allows you to put in your pack for your next year's renewal, or you could get allocated up to 600 hours. Andy got allocated 200 hours, so he's in Fleurs 3 days a week until he completes 28 days. I would strongly advise anybody who is coming to France on working visas to start learning French now. It is easier to learn French, even on an app, and then have a few one-to-one lessons over here than it is to go through their learning system. There is no English spoken in these classes all day, nothing. So you're given tasks to do which are explained in French, and you're there to learn French because you don't know the words. So it's a little bit nonsensical. So yes, I would certainly say that attending a French lesson once a week before you move is certainly better than attending 3 or 4 days a week when you do move, especially if you're here to set up a business. You're also allocated 4 civilian days as well, so that eats into the business. So for Randy, he's now got 32 days out of the business over a 3-month period, possibly less, and I've got 4 days out. And this is learning about French culture. You do get an interpreter in those civic days, but nothing in the lessons. So it's well worth doing those. Yeah, definitely. If you're going to learn French, just do it. Okay, this is my second or third attempt at this. keep getting phone calls and deliveries. So the architect, we did need an architect because the plans to convert the barns into sheets went over 150 square metres, which includes the house. So we did shop around, we found someone. The initial cost was about £4,500, so not cheap. And the plans are very basic, but they do obviously, collate things and put them in the right place and send them off to the right people. But what I would advise is if you're going to do that, remember it does include the existing house if you're doing what we call an extension, which ours has gone down through because the pre-planning was submitted as an extension with a door through the kitchen. So we had no alternative but to do that. So the extras that we've had since then, we've had to have a soil survey, which is so where somebody comes out to inspect the garden to see where a new septic tank would need to go. We've got one out the back, so we were hoping to just have another one servicing the 2 sheets from the front. However, this is where it gets interesting. The garden at the front has a water table that's quite high, so wherever we tested, it wasn't suitable to have a tank system that was big enough to service 3 buildings, essentially. So we've got to have it round the back. To top it off, we've also got to have one of the newest ones. And I don't mean, you've got to have a new one. Of course you've got to have a new one. This, though, is a double tank system that we've got to have outside the back with the pipes going up the back garden and then a filter bed coming 15 metres down the other side. So it will take out nearly all of the back garden. So a double tank system and all that, he did let us know, was about 40% extra to what a normal person would have if they were having 1 or 2 new septic tanks. 16 to 18,000. So that was a little bit of a hard pill to swallow. And the cost of him doing that, and he was here for about an hour, was €600. After he submitted the report, we got approval from Spank, which is who signs off to say, yes, he is correct, that's the tank that you need. €75. Once the work has been done, it'd be another €150 that goes to them. So there are little extras that pop in, that some of them you can't control the price of, like the €75 or 150, because that's Spank. But maybe we could have got somebody to do the survey for less than 600. So yeah, we've got a cost to come. So we're going to do the renovations and then looking to put the septic tank in right at the end so that we can pipe it up. Got 3 quotes. First quote came in 12,000. Okay, not quite seem quite right. Second one, 22.5. So that was slightly more than anticipated. And finally, the third one has come in at 18,500. Both the second and the third one have the death and insurance that they need here for 10 years. So the first one we couldn't really do anyway because we need the system to be insured. If we're running it as a business, if anything goes wrong, we do need to be able to call somebody out. So yeah, that was scratch the head moment in terms of I'd allocated between 8 and 10,000. Andy thought it'd only be between 6 and 8,000. Yet when you look on what they call the Devi, the actual tank that we do need itself is 9.5. So every other piece of work is just not going to happen. So yeah, that was a little bit hard to swallow, but it is what it is. Might get another quote, don't know yet. But as soon as you sign a Devi here, it is legally binding that you've got to use that person for that work. So we're not signing anything yet. Okay. So architect's plans have been submitted. Bit disappointed in some respects that the architect plans doesn't have sizes on the rooms or anything. They're very basic. It does have a disclaimer that they're not used for building purposes. Aren't that what architect's plans for? Maybe I'm doing that wrong. Maybe my head's not in the right place. So yes, have been submitted. Now because our office over here in our commune is only open 2 afternoons a week, it has to be done by post. Then your time starts when you receive the receipt back. And at the time that that receipt is given back, the dossier then goes further on to the prefecture, who's since told us that a document is missing. So the time will start again when all that has happened. So instead of being able to start works on the 4th of September, we're now waiting for a new date. But obviously we can start works inside, so we are looking to do that. Finding the help that we need as well, that's been a little bit head-scratching. Putting a message out on Facebook, we need help, we need a builder, not a problem. You get a few referrals. Getting them round, not too much of an issue. Letting them have a look at the job, not a problem. Getting an initial quote of them, not a problem. Committing them to do the work, slight problem. So hopefully we've found a couple of people that we know that will be able to help us out with some pre-work, and we're still waiting for some quotes for people to help on the more problematic side of putting buildings together. Okay, so that's the architect. I'm so sorry if the camera has been shaking. I am trying my best not to move. So what else has happened? We've registered the business. We did use a third-party company because there are so many different places that your business and professional information needs to be registered with. So we went with a company called SOS Anglo, which are an hour away, literally to the minute. Registered with them for business, €299. And this allows them to take care of all the paperwork. Any letters that we receive, we scan straight over to them. They can tell us whether to bin them, because you get a lot of scam out here asking you for money that you shouldn't be paying. And unfortunately, some people do fall for it. So your business needs to be set up on numerous places, such as INSEE, SIE, GREF, URSAV, CPAM. CPAM is a place where you will get your carte vitale eventually that allows you into the healthcare system. So hopefully we'll get that shortly. Yeah, in about 8 months might be right. Who knows? When we got there, we did have our proper birth certificates, but we were told there might be issue with the birth certificates because in the UK, the older ones were handwritten with an ornate style, which did make it very difficult for some of them to be read. I do know somebody that's had a problem registering on CPAM and is still waiting to find out what they need to do because they say they can't read the birth certificate. Okay, we had the same. We'll wait and see what comes back. I know that the lady at the business registration didn't really want to proceed until we had the birth certificates translated. But that's still not going to change anything. If we order new birth certificates, they're still going to come out the same. So luckily it went through. So I now need to register the business with the Mary, who we are going to see next Monday. So we've got a form to fill in. I've filled the form in and I've got a blank copy just in case I've done it wrong. We'll take that up and submit it. That's more like a declaration that you're doing that. And hopefully he will put us in the right direction because there is a tourist tax. So if you've been visiting the likes of France, and I think we had it in a couple of other places as well, you will be asked to pay an extra amount on top of your holiday, something like €1 per person per night. And that is something that we need to sort out so that we know where to put those monies. We also need to get our professional tax sorted. So there is a professional business tax. We also need to get the personal tax sorted, which I think is called cotisons. So that's the equivalent of national insurance. So it allows you eventually to have healthcare paid for up to 70%, and then you top it up. We've gone for a micro enterprise, which is whereby we will pay as you go. So you pay tax on your turnover, and there are no allowances for the cost of the business. So, for instance, if next year we're lucky enough to have £50,000 worth of guests, then we will pay tax on the £50,000, and we won't be minusing anything for, gas, electric, utilities. It is just on the turnover. So, yeah, that's something to look forward to. No wonder they say France is a high tax country. Okay, so let's have a look at the house then, and we'll put a couple of clips up so you can see what's been happening in some pictures. I think the hardest thing for a lot of people to get used to over here from the UK is the different sizes in the plumbing in terms of the pipes. Because we first started off by taking out some of the existing work and removing the excess toilet and, you know, those kind of things from the living room, a lot of the old pipe, because this house was built in 1949, was 10 mil, whereas a lot of the new pipe is 12-14. So we've had a struggle to get the fixings that we need, and the cost is obviously a little bit more as well. The bathroom's been interesting. I brought some units from a place called Boot in France. Okay, so they were French units. They were from France, French units, delivered. The sink unit was to have gone around the sink and pad. Didn't fit. The unit itself wasn't wide enough, or the hole wasn't wide enough. So we thought, right, okay, let's just go and get a new sink and pad. That didn't fit. Okay. So we went to a specialist place, and there were no sink and pads, or the pad wasn't thin enough of any of the models that they had. So I thought, okay, this is a problem. I've put all the other units up. Can't send them back. That's very hard to do here. So I decided, okay, so let's utilise the unit and put a sink on top. So we ordered a sink from Mano, France. Okay, the sink came absolutely lovely. Do love it. The plug hole, or whatever you call it, obviously technical term, was thinner than the last one, or a normal one. So the fix just didn't fit. So we spent, oh crikey, an extra 85 on the sink, an extra €40 on a new sinkhole fitting. The actual tap itself was €70. And the units, I think, in the bathroom with everything, totaled about €700. And that's without changing the shower and without doing the tiles. So it's a little bit more than we'd actually anticipated, because I didn't want to do much, knowing that eventually the bathroom's going to go upstairs when the barns are done, and the bathroom downstairs is going to become part of the kitchen. Hey-ho, that's what it is. Okay. So the last of the rooms that we needed to look at was the kitchen. We did go to the Swedish company and spend about £900 just on a couple of units and worktops. Fell foul of a delivery, and deliveries you do need to watch here. You know, it's very hard when there is a language barrier. Even though I do speak a little French, you don't get to see the delivery note. So the only time you get to see the delivery note is when you sign it. So we had the delivery, the number of items was perfectly correct, but we ended up with somebody else's worktop, and they ended up with one of our units. So luckily, that to us isn't a problem, because we decided not to put the extra unit in because it would have been too cramped. But it's nigh on impossible to get a hold of them. At one point, the UK side said, well, just go back. I'm like, but that worktop won't fit in my car. So I can't take it back and explain the problem because it won't fit in. You know, I'd like somebody to pick up the item that's not ours and deliver the item that is. Anyway, you're on a losing battle, so I wouldn't even go there. And dishwasher, we got through a place called Darty, D-A-R-T-Y. Darty in France is quite good, in so much as they are one of the cheaper electronic places. So that cost us, I think I had a look yesterday, €260. And that's the first ever full-size dishwasher I've had. So not bad. Issues in the kitchen. Of all the rooms in the house, it's the one with the lower ceiling. And it's also one with a dividing ceiling. It must be some kind of, what do they call them, lintel, because that is the extension. But I'm certainly not going to have a look. Another issue, the cookers seem to be on the small size here. Most of them are between 82 and 85 centimetres. So we're going to actually have to raise ours to get in line with the worktops. So yeah, that's something we need to do. And oh yes, we now have a secure garage. The garage itself, you might have noticed from earlier videos, was 8 metres by 3 metres, not 8 foot by 4 foot, sorry, 3 foot, like I said, error. It's 8 metres by 3 metres. It now has a lockable door on it, so it is secure. Even though in France everybody leaves the doors open, the garage is open and everything outside, it does mean that if you do come to visit us, we've got somewhere safe to secure your items. Okay, so I said I'd talk to you about the bathroom. The idea is that we're going to move this upstairs when planning permission comes through and change this to part of the kitchen. But the problem that we had in the interim is that it really did need a few new bits of hardware. And if I show you, there was a sink and bed here. The idea is that we'd get a new sink and bed and put this unit there. But as you can see, there's a gap. Now that gap isn't wide enough for any sink and bed that we could find. So then we thought, right, okay, let's put a sink basin on top. So we'd already spent 85, so that's now on Facebook. Got this one. I think this one was it about 70 euros? Problem that we've got then is this bit here was not thick enough for the fixings it came with. So we had to spend another 30 on getting the right fixes there. The tap itself was about 70, should have been half price but wasn't. So all in all, that unit cost us a little bit extra. And then to top it off, we had the additional problem of the unit was on the floor. So we went to La Maison and got some legs. So the bathroom has cost us a little bit more than anticipated. Still got the mirror to go up, which is in the corner there. The mirror's going to go on the back here. Let me just swivel around. That's where the mirror's going to be. So we'll have a mirror on the front and the back. So that was the bath problem mirror. It has cost us more than what we anticipated to spend. But it is now almost ready. Okay, I'll give you a quick tour of the kitchen. We bought that from the Swedish company, as you can imagine. All in all, the units were, and the worktops, I think it was 900 euros by the time that delivery gets added on, which is 60 euros. We did get the cabinet, like I say, from Facebook. That'll be painted to later today. The extractor fan, we replaced the old one. That in itself has been a nightmare. Don't get me wrong, you can get one of the old-fashioned white ones for about 85 euros, but I thought this would look better. Then we came across the obvious problem that we have that little bit to the left, meaning that we have to put it off-centre. It is what it is. It'll have to be what it'll have to be. So the cabinets are up. Again, we got the sink and tap at the same place. Still got the grouting to do, as you can see. Again, we had a problem with the fitting bit here. Okay, you do have to drill that out. We did have a piece, but the teeth were bent, so Andy went to get a new piece. That didn't fit the drilling, it kept flying off. So then we did have to go an hour and get the original piece that should have come with it. So all in all, we're about ready to complete. That's where another light's going to go. Going to have some corner shelving there with the light going up and under cabinet light in there as well. So that's a quick tour of the unfinished kitchen. And yes, we know the oven is going to be raised before anybody says anything. The ovens here are really strange, in so much as they're normally 82 to 85 centimetres tall, which is not enough. So again, we'll put that on legs. And we'll keep that as a cabinet unit because you do a lot of recycling here. So we need 3 bins under there. Oh my, we have an escaped cow. Yeah, our fence isn't that strong to keep him out. There is a farmer down that way who's finally closed the gate. However, she doesn't seem to be going anywhere. Okay, so another thing that everybody must do is keep receipts for everything. And one of the things that I wanted to do was monitor the expenditure anyway. So for me, that's not an issue. But you must keep all of your receipts. So we just put them in a budget book. Living costs here. We've now started to get a few, you don't get all bills. You only get yearly bills for some stuff, but then you do get a monthly direct debit. So the water, you have to go with who the local commune is in. Ours is €50 a month. It is a water meter, so we are expecting that to be reviewed at the end of the year. And that's the same with electric. Electric bills, we are on EDF. You don't have an electric bill only once a year. So we pay €165 a month. And then at the end of the year, they'll either send us a bill or a refund. So we'll see what happens. In order to have telly, you've got to have internet. So we've gone with Orange. And the reason why we've gone for them is because they've got an English-speaking helpline. But it is £40 a month. Now, in order to have French TV, you need a decoder, which you're in order through Orange. That's €40. I'm just going to touch on this bit because it's coming up as well. So next we will have the telly set up next week. Yeah, I know. It's been since March and it's now August. So we'll have the telly set up. That is going to be $300 for the installation and have 4 points. But we're only going to have one active at the moment and you have to have a minimum of 4. So we'll have that. Then we need a Sky receiver. So that's going to be done. Then we need like a free set box. And I think that's an extra 60. So I think all in all, Monday is going to be a 400 or 410 kind of cost just to have telly in French and English. Okay, so it is what it is. Food. Food can be really expensive here. Not great. You have to really shop around. What's good in one supermarket price-wise could be horrific in another. For instance, shower gels that I get in the UK, £1. Shower gels here, €3. So it's hardly comparable. So you do have to keep a tight rein on that. And if you do go out, you do need to look at different places. We now go for places where a bottle of wine is either €6 or £12.50. Whereas when we first came here, a bottle of wine was €21 in the place it went to. Nice, but again, not what we want. Okay, health insurance. Health insurance you legally have to have in France. So we've gone for quite a cheap one and it's still £200 a month. And that gets paid from a UK bank account. They don't accept that from a French bank account. But hopefully we can stop that soon once we get into the CPAN system and we get our carpet towels. Car insurance and house insurance, that's about €100 a month. And we use diesel for the car and petrol for things like the lawnmower and strimmer and things. So we'll probably get through about €100 a month on that. So all in all, you've just got to keep a really close eye on your spend. Okay, now on to what I call the nicety things, social media. We are on some third-party websites, the typical 2 that you could think of, and I am looking at building my own website. Now, I'm not fully conversant as to how to do that, but we'll learn. So hopefully that'll be up and running soon, and that will be perfectsheetsinnormandy.com. We've brought the domain, I just need to crack on. Do need to take more pictures when the house is done. So we have put them on, even though we don't have pictures of the parking outside. We don't have pictures of a finished kitchen. And obviously the front of the house, because we keep having deliveries and everything else, we've not been able to take photos of that. So hopefully that will change soon and we'll update those. But we have had bookings. So it just goes to show you don't have to wait until everything's perfect. But it will be by the time they arrive. Okay. We do daily updates on the usual social media accounts, as I'm sure you know. Yeah, we just keep plugging away. We do the daily updates. I try and do 3 or 4 regular posts, and I also go onto social media to find out who's looking, because sometimes people do put onto Sheets in France that they're looking for accommodation in Normandy, those kind of things, and then you reply to those. So more will be available on that soon. and I hope you like them. Okay, I think I'm going to need a coffee after this. So getting to know people. When you come to France, you perhaps don't think everybody is as genuine as what they are, and the genuine ones really are genuine. It was one thing to get used to saying hello to people as you enter the shop, i.e. the cashiers. But then when you sat in a pub and people come in, everybody says hello to everybody. French, English, Dutch, whoever they are. You just literally, if somebody looks at you, you say hello. That can get some getting used to, but we are. We started to go to local events. Well, when the weather was nice. We did a couple of vide greniers. The music events here, they do a lot of music events in June, July and August. And they are absolutely fantastic. Everybody's just really genuine. You just have a really good night, and they do like to party. So we've done that. We've done the vide greniers. You've probably seen some of the things that we've brought and some of the things in the house that we've brought and upcycled. Craft fairs. That was a good place. You go to a craft fair, see somebody, you start talking to them. Next minute, we're invited to a Thursday morning coffee each week. So you do get to know people that way. Obviously, it's different for Andy than it is for me on the French lessons, because I go to a regular group now on a Friday, although it's having to change because Andy's now got the car. So I do meet more people that way. Even on Facebook, we've had people say, "Oh, hi, are you the people that have brought the house on that road with a toilet in the back garden?" And I respond, "Yeah, the toilet that's facing the wrong way with no door on and a hole the other side." And then you get to, once you've connected on Facebook, you might see them in the town. So we've met quite a few people that way. And even last night, we were at a place called the Red Lion in Desertines. That was an open mic night, and it was packed. It was brilliant. Feel a bit, tired this morning, but I was driving, so I wasn't drinking. So yeah, you do pump into people. Even when we're in the, we're in the kebab shop. We'd ordered, obviously broken French. Next person orders, obviously broken French. Turns out they're Aussies on a working visa, living quite close to us. So yeah, and people do help out. We've had people that we've met that turned up to help us out. They're absolutely fantastic friends now. So you do get to grow your social circle, but you do have to spend some money going out, having drinks and everything in order to meet them and putting yourself out a little bit. But it's not hard. It really isn't. Okay. One thing that you will find different is some of your favourite places, and some of our favourite places. We like to go to a place called The Cave in Sordeval, but it's actually only open till 8, 9 at night. So that's strange. And quite often we'll look and we'll go, the next one's open, or it should be open according to Facebook, and it's not, it's closed. So it's hit and miss. Somebody put on Facebook the other day, does anybody know what the opening hours of the bar in the local town are? And somebody put, sometimes. Because genuinely it is. Sometimes they're open, sometimes they're not. But yeah, the social circle is quite good now, but settling in quite nicely. Okay, so hope you've enjoyed what you've heard so far. If you haven't already, if you could consider liking and subscribing, if you do like what you've heard, that would really help us. We know that we're still in our early days. We know that the real work, the conversion work, has not started yet. But what have we got coming up? We've got our first paid booking in what day is it now? Oh, in 8 days. So yeah, first paid booking. So we've got to finish the kitchen. We've got some snagging to do, such as sealing some more areas in the bathroom. The garden path up to the seating area needs to be sorted. So we've got a seating area on the patio. We've got the gravel, and then we've got about 2,000 square metres of grass. And we've got a private decking area. Well, it's not a decking area, it's concrete, that we've actually made into just like a two-seater with a fire pit, some fairy lights. So we've got to do the garden path to that. We've got to paint the concrete steps out the front to make them pretty. At the moment, they just look concrete steps. What I want to do is get them concreted, make them look nice, put loads of plants on there, and put some fake foliage around the banister going all the way down and some fairy lights. That's got to be done. We've got to fence off the back garden because we don't want anybody using the back garden while it's in the state that it is. There's an old food store down there which people seem to have just been dumping stuff. So health and safety wise, we do need to fence that off so they can't get round there. I want to put some window boxes towards the window of the back so that as people do get up, if they're at the dining table or sleeping on the sofa bed, their view is of the flowers in the window box, not the food store. So we'll see what happens there. I mean, previous owners have obviously just been putting stuff in there. There's concrete pylons, concrete pipes, granite, boulders, you name it. But you can't go down there now because that's where the current FOSS system is. And obviously we need that to continue working. So if you took a digger down there to take it out, you'd ruin the filter bed and the FOSS septique before we get the new one. Not happening. I want to review the cost of supplies and start ordering them for the barns. That's got to be done. Oh yeah, and the local Marie the local Marie decided that he'd want to have drinks at our place and invite all the local people. There's about 300 in our commune. So yeah, I need to start looking at that. And earn some money. So since we've put our business on the third party site, which was 2 weeks ago, we've had 3 inquiries, 1 I rejected. I don't want 5 adults staying here for 1 night, particularly before I get the confirmed booking for a family to stay 4 nights. Because bearing in mind, we'll be in the caravan. And then we're waiting to hear back from somebody who wants the place straight after the family. So not too bad. So we need to start earning some money. And then obviously we need to start paying taxes. But that's it. Okay, so hopefully I was a little bit cheerier than before. As you know by the last videos, it had been a little testy coming over with everything that happened personally. Some of it's, still settling down now with Mum, but we're getting there. And Andy would say the same if he wasn't so miserable, sat in infrep, having to try and understand what they're saying in French while he doesn't know what they're saying in French. Okay, I shall see you next time.